I had to make a choice between the
Oh,
cloud and my computer. Hi,
I don't
Kevin.
understand the cloud. I'm in the officially old fart category.
Oh.
But the here and the now, Fran, that's a good thing you touched on, like the here and the now. I mean, that's all we're about, really. This whole Zoom group, this whole meeting and mind training is about learning to be present, not present. I mean, initially present as a conscious sense of awareness, you know, like without the past and the future. But that also has to go because the present really has nothing to do with consciousness. The present is a state of grace where I enter into that, and everything that I have any thought about it just falls away automatically. There's no supporting mechanism for it. It's its own total state. So whenever I try to compare something, would this be like that or would that be like something else? What I'm actually doing is actually defending myself against the now. Which is good to see. And people do that all the time. It's like, man, I do it all the time. I have these conversations with people and I'm constantly trying to reference because they're asking me questions. Like Francois is beautiful for this, right? So Francois asked me questions all the time. I must have got like 10 messages off him last week. And I don't think where does he live? He said they've had no power.
He lives in South Africa. Isn't that crazy?
Is that a third world country or something? Because the way he talks about
so. When he told me the power was off too, I was like, what?
South Africa's like Johannesburg, Cape Town, all of that, yeah?
Yeah.
They're fairly...
They got stuff. Yeah, no, nothing's going on. They got
Maybe
stuff.
He lives in a village. I don't know. He might... Yeah. I'm going to ask him.
Oh, no.
The way he talks about his situation, it's like he's living in I don't know, like a third world environment. I don't really know. But Francois always...
I'm wondering, like, you know, what are those questions? I'm questioning what questions. Curious.
Oh, but you had a question.
Yeah, like, no, I don't really have any questions.
Francois always asks me questions, and because of the language, accent, and everything different, I have to double guess myself what he's saying. Otherwise, I find myself asking him again and again, what? Can you repeat that? And all these sorts of things, which his accent is very strong. But the really? The cue for looking for references to be able to answer the question is an addiction of the conscious mind. Because the only true answer for any question is a miracle, is truth, right? And how that looks in the playing out of actually answering somebody's question, obviously it's going to be individual and different for every person, but initially you have to kind of entertain the association. You have to like buy into the drama and the story and let the imagery be what it is, and without judging it and all that sort of stuff. But there's always a recognition that, hang on a minute, this whole relationship, this whole back and forth we're having at some point has to flip over to healing, has to flip over to something higher. Otherwise, what are we going to do? Just say, oh, is that like this? Is this like that? Until finally we come to some kind of uneasy accord on what we mean. Yeah. And it's like, man, that is hard work and it goes nowhere. It's like so I always assume, and I know assuming is something that's not a healthy thing sometimes, but I always assume that anybody that's involved in A Course in Miracles or in a Zoom group or whatever is there because they want the healing. It's like somewhere I'm admitting to myself, it's like, man, I need help. And so whatever that healing shows up as, whatever it looks like, it's like, all right, let me accept it exactly as it is. And usually it's never going to look like what you think it's going to look like, Fran. So rather than trying to cross-reference things, simply sitting in the recognition that, hang on a minute, I've asked for healing. I'm now finding myself in a place of healing that's dedicated to healing, right? I'm the patient, let's say, for a second, and I'm talking to my doctor, right? Now, imagine if you were talking to your doctor and your doctor gives you a prescription and says, I want you to take this, whatever it is, and you start going, oh, is that like something else? You're not actually saying yes to taking what he's prescribing. You're for a way around managing or doing whatever, you know, you're kind of like defending. And I mean, ultimately you probably wouldn't, but it's like when we're saying yes to God, that's an unconditional and equivocal yes. Right? So Jesus gives us a set of principles and he says, be about forgiveness and, you know, apply these principles, blah, blah, blah. And we look at that relative to where we think we are and what we think we are. And we try to draw a picture of ourselves in relation to Jesus, which is actually the opposite of what he's telling us to do. Right? He's telling me I'm whole and perfect already. Now, if I don't remember what that is in my own association with myself, then I really have nothing to say about it. If I don't remember what that is, what's the point in me trying to cross-reference what whole and perfect is? Now, seen rightly, every situation is that situation. Every opportunity to answer a question or whatever is me learning of my wholeness and my perfection by saying yes and including it in as it is, with the recognition that the words are only symbols. They represent something else. So basically somebody comes up to me and goes 2 and 2 equals 7. I'll just say, my conscious mind wants to tell me, hang on a minute, 2 and 2 doesn't equal 7. This person's either made a mistake or they're crazy. You know, something's going on here. And I try to work out what I think's going on. Stop trying to work out what you think's going on. Simply accept what's being said. If a Chinaman came up to you and said 2 + 2 = 7 and you didn't speak a word of Chinese, you would just politely nod and smile and accept exactly as was given in the recognition that I don't understand. You know, you might try to tell him you don't understand, but it's not going to change the fact of the matter that you actually don't understand. And that's the nature of life on earth. I don't understand where the hell I am, what I'm doing, the meaning of life, or anything. So why would I try to make references or cross-reference my position in time and space as like a, you know, what's that called on a map where you have a longitude and a latitude? I'm trying to locate myself in time and space. Coordinates, that's it. I'm trying to coordinate myself in time and space when actually Jesus is actually telling me I'm not here at all. It's a funny thing. But the habituation of the mind is to always try and coordinate myself in time and space by using past references or associative references of things that I think are similar to what is being presented to me to do that. Morning, Megan, Anna. So that's a good thing, Fran. You know, you put your hand up for that teaching, for that moment, for that opportunity to simply say yes to it. And it's like, I'm grateful.
I was just thinking the Holy Spirit kind of just shoved me forward.
Right. Anyone who's thinking gets shoved forward to the front of the class.
That's right.
No thinking aloud. Didn't you read the sign on the way in? Your thinking doesn't work here. It's like a vacuum in space. Gravity doesn't work in a vacuum. So. Anyway, Tina and I were thinking about doing something different today. I don't know what that different thing is, but I was looking at the idea of Zoom groups and satsangs and stuff. And I don't know if you've ever been to a public satsang by a like I went to one by Armachi once, and the nature of the meeting demands that the new guy in the room or the newcomer to the room is always the most important. So you're always at the basics and at the beginning of things. And seen rightly, that's where you're always at anyway. I'm always on go, right? I'm always on the first lesson. Nothing I see means anything. But there's a point where I come back to that. Like I start on nothing I see means anything. And then let's say I go for a little walk out into the world and I realize that I'm giving everything a lot of meaning. And then I come back to nothing I see means anything again. And then I go to lesson 2. I've given it all the meaning it has for me. And I walk around and see and then I come back. So any meeting is like that. And in our Zoom meetings, I always like to try and put, well, not always, but sometimes there's good input from you guys, but I always like to try and put an open-ended kind of perspective on things, so you find yourself in there by yourself. I don't know if that makes sense. But sometimes I see that, like Tina, look at Tina right now. See, she's in her brain trying to work it out. And then the light bulb, and then you have these moments, and you're like, yeah, of course, that's good. Those are the moments that we want. Those moments, I get it, yeah. Because it's like a lesson repeats until it's learned, and we're just in the same thing again and again and again. The only difference in being, what would you call it? Being current, being focused or something with that is that sometimes there seems to be a difference between when I'm in a Zoom meeting, let's say, and when I'm out in my normal world. Because when you're out in the normal world, everybody doesn't sit around nodding and going, they all go, what the fuck are you talking about? You're crazy. You tell people you've had a revelation or you've seen God or something, and there's like eyeballs and like these things happen and stuff, but learning that there's no difference between this and is the one lesson that we're learning. It's altruistic, right? Don't judge the form, apply the principle. So it doesn't matter what, you see, have you ever seen, like, we call them crazy people, and they just wander around the streets talking to themselves and stuff? And like they're having a full-on conversation, and like they're just like, and you're thinking like, I wonder what conversation. You want to follow along behind to see what they're talking about, And it's the same thing. I'm having this conversation with myself everywhere I go. Other people or images, figures in the dream seem to show up to play the other parts of my conversation. But if they weren't there, it would still be the same conversation going on in my head. Exactly the same. Right? Jesus comes along quite gracefully and goes, hey, man, none of your thoughts mean anything. Check out these lessons. And I'm like, what? What do you mean none of my thoughts mean anything? Using my meaningless thoughts to actually ask him the question, right? Rather than simply going, okay, yes, I accept that. I'll take that on board. I'll let that in. So today when, like Tina, I had a thing last night, and you told me this morning you had a thing where you wanted to do something different. And I had a thing where I wanted to do something different. So we're going to do our workbook because we're nearly at the end of the workbook. And I think there's something different that I'm looking for and feeling prompted towards, or something in my mind is to do with that second half of the workbook. Right. So I wrote a thing to Bernadette this morning because she hasn't been with us for a while. She's traveling around Europe with friends, but about a mantra style meditation, which I was prompted to tell her about because she will find it useful if she's willing to accept that. But those last bunch of lessons in the workbook, they are a mantra style meditation. They use a lot of repetition in the onset of the application of the lesson, which is entering into stillness, entering into quiet. And that repetition, when I remember doing I did it a few times, the workbook, but I remember doing it the last time, the second, or maybe I've done it 3 times, but think only twice, but the repetitive nature of those last lessons, like I'm not a body, I'm free, I'm still as God created me, are incredibly helpful. I found them like when you go through the workbook, you'll have some lessons that will stand out for you more than others. So for me, it was lesson 1, lesson 10, lesson 60, 67 or 76, I'm under no laws but God's, lesson 200, above all else, I want the peace of God, all that sort of thing. And those last 5 or 10 maybe lessons that get you to sort of sit there repeating the idea to yourself again and again and again. And it reminds me of using the prana beads or whatever they're called, you know, the monks have, and I think I sent you some. Oh, you got them on there. You can twiddle them around on there, which was very helpful. You know, the busy mind, helpful in slowing the mind right down, because you can focus on, it's something to focus on, and at the same time you have a determination with it to slow it down. But same thing doing the mala beads, is that what they're called? I'm trying to think of the name. Mala bead, yeah.
Yep.
When you do those beads, there's 108 beads, or 108 snails, I call them, but 108 beads on the string. And the temptation is to want to get to the big one, the leader bead or whatever it's called. And it's like the mind is always focusing, right? Or my mind, I should say. I don't know about you guys, but the mind is always focusing on, like, I wonder how many beads I've counted now. I wonder if I'm close to the big one, you know, at the end, and I can stop doing my practice, right? Rather than surrendering to the practice and just focusing on the bead that I'm on. You know, that was always my thing with it. And then eventually you get to the main bead and you're like, oh, there's the bead. You know, so it's the same thing with these last lessons. It's like, I'm not a body, I'm free, I'm still as God created me. And you repeat that over and over and over until you drop into silence. But I found when I was doing those lessons, it's the same thing with the big bead. I'm always cross-checking myself. Do I stop now? Do I just enter into silence now? Right? Instead of actually just entering into silence. And when I realized that, I just entered into silence. And that's when, when that happens in my mind, you know, which is now automatic. That silence, that place, that communicative channel is open. So we'll do our lessons. Don't stop the recording. We'll just keep going. This one will probably be helpful, I think. A lot of people use those beads around the world. You know, Greek people, they have a little, Megan, are you Greek? You look a bit Greek. Anna, do you have a Greek heritage? No. Megan looks Greek. When I look at you, you look Greek. I don't know if that's a thing. But Greek people...
Yeah, it's a pretty mixed. But yeah, my dad was born right in Cyprus. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So you have Greek heritage. Your dad probably has worry beads, and does he spin them around? Does he have those?
I doubt it. I don't know.
I used to know quite a lot of Greek guys in Brisbane. We had a delivery business, and part of the Greek community, my dad and I used to deliver them stuff. And the older guys especially would always be standing around with their beads, flicking them around, and they'd be pulling the next bead. And there wasn't many. There's like 10 or 12 or something on the string, and then there's a little tassely thing, and they call them worry beads. I mean, you know, like...
You know, I haven't been given worry beads, but, you know, I imagine it's a lot like the Catholic rosary or even the Muslim Islamic prayer beads, just something to, yeah.
Being worry beads, though, that would tend to increase my sense of worry, I think, if I was focusing on my... As prayer, if I call them prayer beads, it would sort of like give me more encouragement to prayer, I think, rather than worry. But anyway, okay, so Tina, what lessons are we up to? 320?
41.
Really?
341.
So this is the last bit. No, hang
That's
on.
20.
Where are we at? Oh yeah. So we're going to go from 341 to 361. No.
We're going to do the whole thing?
Hang on.
We're going to finish it?
No, we've got 10. We'll do a block of 10. So if you're following along, I think a block of 10. Yeah. If you're following along at home doing the workbook lessons, don't do them in a block of 10. Just do the one a day. All right.
You sure you don't want me to pause this?
No, don't pause it.
No?
We'll just do
Because
the
that's a
whole-
lot before you actually get to the lesson. Okay.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
What is a lot?
What is a lot?
We'll put just put it when you put it on YouTube. Just put it as lessons, whatever. Don't worry about our preamble that we've been talking. I've been talking. So we're just going to do. If you're following along at home or watching this from the future or anything, what is a miracle? And we do the little preamble before each lesson for the day, and just one lesson a day, just one. All right. What is a miracle? A miracle is a correction. It does not create nor really change at all. It merely looks on devastation and reminds the mind that what it sees is false. It undoes error, but does not attempt to go beyond perception nor exceed the function of forgiveness. Thus it stays within time's limits. Yet it paves the way for the return of timelessness and love's awakening, for fear must slip away under the gentle remedy it gives. A miracle, oh, here, look, we're talking about grace. So a miracle contains the gift of grace, Fran, for it is given and received as one, and thus it illustrates the law of truth the world does not obey because it fails entirely to understand its ways. That's what we were exactly just talking about, Frank. A miracle inverts perception, which was upside down before, and thus it ends the strange distortions that were manifest. Now is perception open to the truth. Now is forgiveness fully justified. Forgiveness is the home of miracles. The eyes of Christ deliver them to all they look upon in mercy and in love, including Fran. Perception stands corrected in his sight, and what was meant to curse has come to bless. Each lily of forgiveness offers all the world the silent miracle of love, and each is laid before the word of God upon the universal altar to Creator and creation in the light of perfect purity and endless joy. The miracle is taken first on faith, because to ask for it implies the mind has been made ready to conceive of what it cannot see and does not understand. Yet faith will bring its witnesses to show that what it rested on is really there. And thus the miracle will justify your faith in it and show it rested on a world more real than what you saw before, a world redeemed from what you thought you saw. Miracles fall like drops of healing rain from heaven on a dry and dusty world where starved and thirsty creatures came to die. Now they have water, now the world is green, and everywhere the signs of life spring up to show that what is born can never die, for what has life has immortality. Megan, can you read the first two, please?
Yes, sorry. Lesson 341. I can attack but my own sinlessness, and it is only that which keeps me safe. Father, your Son is holy. I am he on whom you smile in love and tenderness, So deep and dear, and still the universe smiles back on you and shares your holiness. How pure, how safe, how sacred, then, are we abiding in your smile, with all your love bestowed upon us, living one with you in brotherhood and fatherhood complete, in sinlessness so perfect that the Lord of sinlessness conceives us as his Son, a universe of thought completing him. Let us not then attack our sinlessness, for it contains the word of God to us, and in its kind reflection, we are saved. Lesson 342. I let forgiveness rest upon all things, for thus forgiveness will be given me. I thank you, Father, for your plan to save me from the hell I made. It is not real, and you have given me the means to prove its unreality to me. The key is in my hand, and I have reached the door beyond which lies the end of dreams. I stand before the gate of heaven, wondering if I should enter in and be at home. Let me not wait again today. Let me forgive all things, and let creation be as you would have it be, and as it is. Let me remember that I am your son, and opening the door at last, forget illusions in the blazing light of truth, as memory of you returns to me. Brother, forgive me now. I come to you to take you home with me, and as we go, the world goes with us on the way to God.
Fran, would you read the next two, please?
I am not asked to make a sacrifice to find the mercy and the peace of God. The end of suffering cannot be lost. The gift of everything can but be gained. You only give, you never take away. And you created me to be like you. So sacrifice becomes impossible for me as well as you. I too must give. And so all things are given unto me forever and forever. As I was created, I remain. Your son can make no sacrifice, for he must be complete, having the function of completing you. I am complete because I am your son. I cannot lose, for I can only give, and everything is mine eternally. The mercy and the peace of God are free. Salvation has no cost. It is a gift that must be freely given and received. And it is this that we would learn today. Today, I learned the law of love, that what I give my brother is my gift to me. This is your law, my father, not my own. I did not understand what giving means and thought to save what I desired for myself alone. And as I looked upon the treasure that I thought I had, I found an empty place where nothing ever was, or is, or will be. Who can share a dream? And what can an illusion offer me? Yet he whom I forgive will give me gifts beyond the worth of anything on earth. Let my forgiven brothers fill my store with heaven's treasures, which alone are real. This is the law of love fulfilled. And thus your son arises and returns to you. How near we are to one another as we go to God. How near is he to us? How close the ending of the dream of sin and the redemption of the Son of God.
Anna, would you read the next two, please?
I offer only miracles today, for I would have them be returned to me.
Good. Yes.
Father, a miracle reflects your gifts to me, your son. And everyone I give returns to me, reminding me the law of love is universal. Even here, it takes a form which can be recognized and seen to work. The miracles I give are given back in just the form I need to help me with the problems I perceive. Father, in heaven it is different, for there are no needs. But here on earth, the miracle is closer to your gifts than any other gift which I can give. Then let me give this gift. Then let me give this gift alone today, which born of true forgiveness lights the way that I must travel to remember you. Peace to all seeking hearts today. The light has come to offer miracles to bless the tired world. It will find rest today. It will find rest today, for we
Good.
will offer what we have received. Today the peace of God envelops me, and I forget all things except his love. Father, I wake today with miracles correcting my perception of all things. And so begins the day I share with you, as I will share eternity, for time has stepped aside today. I do not seek the things of time, and so I will not look upon them. What I seek today transcends all laws of time and things perceived in time. I would forget all things except your love. I would abide in you and know no laws except your law of love. And I would find the peace which you created for your son, forgetting all the foolish toys I made as I behold your glory and my own. And when the evening comes today, we will remember nothing but the peace of God. For we will learn today what peace is ours when we forget all things except God's love.
Good. Joe, you read 347 and 348.
Oh, I knew you'd get me.
Always perfect.
Anger. Lesson 347. Anger must come from judgment. Judgment is the weapon I would use against myself to keep all miracles away from me. Father, I want what goes against my will and do not want what is my will to have. Straighten my mind, my Father. It is sick, but you have offered freedom, and I choose to claim your gift today. And so I give all judgment to the one you gave me to judge for me. He sees what I behold, and yet he knows the truth. He looks upon pain, and yet he understands it is not real. And in his understanding, it is healed. He gives the miracles my dreams would hide from my awareness. Let him judge today. I do not know my will, but he is sure it is your own, and he will speak for me and call your miracle to come to me. Listen today, be very still, and hear the voice, the gentle voice for God, assuring you that he has judged you as the son he loves. Lesson 348. I have no cause for anger or for fear, for you surround me, and in every need that I perceive your grace suffices me. Father, let me remember you are here, and I am not alone. Surrounding me is everlasting love. I have no cause for anything except the perfect peace and joy I share with you. What need have I for anger or for fear? Surrounding me is perfect safety. Can I be afraid when your eternal promise goes with me? Surrounding me is perfect sinlessness. What can I fear when you created me in the holiness as perfect as your own? God's grace suffices us in everything that he would have us do, and only that we choose to be our will as well as his.
Read that last little bit again. Take a breath.
God's grace suffices us in everything that he would have us do, and only that we choose to be our own will as well as his.
Tina, can you read 349 and Kevin 350, please? Anna, focus. Listen to this one by Kevin.
Tina, you doing 349, did you say?
I don't know. I just heard him say your name. So I just.
Yeah, he said 349. I'm doing 350.
Okay.
Oh, either one.
All right.
Mm.
Today, I let Christ's vision look upon all things for me and judge them not, but give each one a miracle of love instead. So would I liberate all things I see and give to them the freedom that I seek. For thus do I obey the law of love and give what I would find and make my own. It will be given me because I have chosen it as the gift I want to give. Ooh. Father, your gifts are mine. Each one that I accept gives me a miracle to give. And giving as I would receive, I learn your healing miracles belong to me. Our Father, knows our needs. He gives us grace to meet them all. And so we trust in him to send us miracles to bless the world and heal our minds as we return to him.
Lesson 350. Miracles mirror God's eternal love. To offer them is to remember him, and through his memory to save the world. What we forgive becomes a part of us as we perceive ourselves. The Son of God incorporates all things within himself as you created him. Your memory depends on his forgiveness. What he is unaffected by his thoughts. But what he looks upon is their direct result. Therefore, my Father, I would return to you. Only your memory will set me free. And only my forgiveness teaches me to let your memory return to me and give it to the world in thankfulness. As we gather miracles from him, we will indeed be grateful. For as we remember him, his Son will be restored to us in the reality of love.
Good. And the next 10 next week, and then that's it, yeah. 351. Oh, and then 5 after that.